My partner, Mara, and I had been together for almost 7 years, married for just under a year. Our relationship had always been built on stability. Mara was level-headed, rational, and deeply empathetic. If you'd told me a year ago she was capable of anything even remotely bizarre, I would have laughed in your face. She wasn't the playful or spontaneous type. Her idea of fun was word puzzles and documentaries. She hated horror, refused to go near haunted houses, and could barely handle the suspense in thrillers. So when things started changing, it wasn't just strange, it was horrifying. It began 2 months ago. I was making my morning espresso before heading to the architecture firm. I remember checking the time and thinking I was already late. As I passed the hallway on my way out, I saw something that made me stop mid-step. Mara was watching me from around the corner, just her eyes and a curtain of black hair showing, the rest of her hidden. I flinched so hard I burned my mouth on the espresso. "Mara, Jesus," I snapped, laughing nervously. "You scared me." She slipped away like a scolded child, giggling softly. I remember thinking it was out of character, but oddly endearing. That changed quickly. 3 nights later, I woke up around 1:40 a.m. for some water. As I stood in the kitchen, I felt an eerie tingle across my neck, the sense of being watched. I turned, and that's when I saw her. She was peering up at me from the other side of the island, face pressed low to the floor, eyes wide and bloodshot, mouth stretched into a crooked smile. I dropped the glass in my hand. It shattered across the tile, but she didn't flinch. She just scurried away on all fours, fast and animal-like. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I tried to bring it up gently. Mara acted confused at first. Then she burst into laughter. "Maybe I'm just trying to be fun like you always wanted," she joked, wrapping her arms around my neck. But it didn't stop. Over the next week, I started catching glimpses of her, watching me from inside closets, under tables, even once behind the curtains with only her fingers visible at the edge. Her face would always carry that same exaggerated grin. She never spoke during these episodes. The worst part, she was getting better at it, hiding longer, being quieter. Sometimes I'd find her in places I hadn't even realized were possible to hide in. One night, while I was in the shower, she appeared. Her head stretched through the curtain, her mouth agape. Her mascara had run down her cheeks like black veins. Her hair was soaked, sticking to her jawline. She didn't blink, not once. I screamed and nearly slipped. She didn't laugh. She didn't move. She just watched. I locked myself in the bathroom for nearly 2 hours. When I finally opened the door, she was gone. Or so I thought. Until I noticed the closet door, slightly ajar, and Mara's eyes staring at me from the crack. I ran. I didn't stop running until I reached my cousin Eli's house, 45 minutes away. I was soaking wet, barefoot, and terrified. Eli thought I was overreacting. I didn't tell him everything, just enough to stay the night. But the next morning, just as the sun came up, I woke to find Mara's face outside the window. Grinning, drooling, motionless. I called her mother, Cassandra, desperate for answers. Cassandra was cold and distant as always, but I could hear something break in her voice when I described Mara's behavior. "Get help," she said, "and don't let her in." When I pressed her, she hung up. Eventually, I returned to our house. I had to get clothes. I brought Eli with me, too scared to go alone. The house reeked of rot. Upstairs, we found small, perfect pairs of eyes, collected in the closet, neatly placed. Rabbits, cats, even a dog's. That's when I saw her. Under the bed, curled up, shaking with excitement. Her hands were stained with blood. In one hand, she held a shard of glass. When I tried to speak, she lunged. She slashed my arm and then turned her gaze toward Eli. We fled. I left with 14 stitches. Mara vanished again. The police searched, but found nothing. They dismissed it as a mental breakdown. Suggested I file a report. But that was 2 days ago. Tonight, I received a message from an unknown number. I see you. Attached, a grainy photo, her eye wide and glassy, taken through the peephole of my motel door. I haven't opened the door. I can't bring myself to. But I know she's there, and I know she's not Mara anymore.